Okay, so I want to talk about a couple of things, and I want to go over them as segments. So we're going to try to keep them separate, but if they overlap, it's okay. Long story short is that there is a phenomenon I notice with parents where often, not always, but often when they're describing the things their child is dealing with, they will describe the term disrespect. I've heard this for the entirety of my career, even before. And you might be thinking, well, why is that a problem, right? Disrespect can be problematic, it can show problematic behavior. And I've always found myself be a little bit allergic to the term. And the reason being is that I find myself really bothered by the concept. Like, the initial argument itself seems really problematic. And here's why. I am not a big fan of the argument being you're not obeying systems of power in the way that we want you to be a sufficient argument for there being mental illness or some other issues. Now, granted, mental health issues, mental illness can lead to behavioral differences or behavioral problems, sure. However, I would argue that when your child starts acting disrespectful, the question you have to ask is, one, are you taking this personally? Because if you are, you might want to work on that. Again, if your kid is just trying to express themselves or starting to see you as more just a regular human being rather than like their all-powerful caregiver, that's not a bad thing. Relationships change with people. But the reason I'm bringing this up and why I wanted to talk to you guys about it is that I feel like kids who are dealing with really difficult parents, difficult situations, often have this label thrown on them. And I feel like in a way it's this thing to sort of reframe it as a power play by the parents. And what I mean by that is this. If the parent doesn't want to own their shit, that is, they don't want to own the effects that they have, then what happens is that they can call the kid disrespectful because there is the presumption that just because you are a parent that you deserve respect. Now, ideally, it'd be nice if they respected you. It'd be cool if they did. But one of the things that I have to be very aware of is my own bias. And one of my biases is this. I am not a big fan of obligation. I'm not a big fan of the idea that just because I'm genetically related to someone, I owe them the ability to have access to me. And the reason why I am saying this is that in many cases, I feel like the forced relationship of parent and child often leads to these power dynamics where there's sort of this presumption of obligation to the other. And I would argue that nobody asks to be born. No one chose the time period, their ethnicity, their religion, their assigned gender. We didn't choose shit. Nobody asked us. Unless you have some spiritual beliefs around reincarnation, there's not really any kind of like checkbox to say I want to exist. You're just sort of thrown into relationship, like Heidegger would say. You're just tossed into relationship with the world. And that's fine. But what I would argue is that to some degree, the notion that we are obligated to care for and obligated to give our undying loyalty to our parents is really problematic. And the reason I'm saying this is this way. I myself come from a family that had multi-generational trauma. Hooray! And one of the things that I think is a big deal is that often families with very real abuse tend to use the familial bond as a way to solidify power and keep things secret. Now, I would argue that just because somebody has a very strong attachment with their family, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But when a very close-knit family starts having toxicity in it, say, for example, abusive behavior, in that close-knitness in the family leads to the outcome that the person, at least at some level, how do I say this? That this person is now suffering incredible stress, incredible difficulties because of it. I think that's a problem. So I'll give this example. So one of the places I worked before, I would often hear about the calls we would get when people would want to bring their teens into me. And I remember a lot of these calls going in the same basic format. The parents would come on the phone and start talking about their kids and their accomplishments, right? So like they would say things like, well, Billy is really great at football and he's considered doing band. He's also really big into gymnastics. Also, he's considering suicide. I apologize if this is offending anybody as far as content warnings. It's not my goal to trigger you, and this is why I'm keeping things very general. Oh my god! Monica B, you're the best. Oh, Pikachu face. Yay! That's so awesome. Look at the Pikachu face. It's so good. Might have to turn that down though. That's really loud. Very loud Pikachu. Very cute Pikachu though. Do that to about half sound of Pikachu. Try that now. So one of the things to kind of think about in this is that the obligation of connection to family can cause a lot of problems. If you're a kid dealing with traumatic situations or difficult things, Monica, it's totally cool. You said you can't donate much, but thank you for the stream. Oops, my partner dropped something. You okay, love?
Yeah, my bowl tipped
Okay.
over.
So I assume there's trans people watching, and I assume some of you have had to deal with families who have been not great about transitioning or that. If you haven't, that's great. Lucky for you, but that's not everyone's experience. I find familial obligation to be a weird thing. I don't mind gratitude. Like, I don't mind the idea of being grateful for the chance to exist and grateful for the ability to experience reality. But obligation gets weird because it can become the ways that we sort of knit together a family system to create problems. And that I have a problem with. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because I want to just briefly talk about this idea of disrespect, because what I hear this brought up as is either one, it's a legitimate concern about a kid who's showing like conduct disorder issues, right? Or like some sort of like oppositional defiant disorder, right? ODD. Or raises hand in trans. Oh, at some point we've got to get emojis. Holy shit. If I can ever get some sort of Discord link, or get the stuff on Twitch going, I would love to just have emojis of raises hand in trans. So anyway, so the reason I bring this stuff up is because I feel like disrespect is a really useful way for a problematic parent to shut down the needs that their kid is expressing. What I mean by that is that I argue that all of behavior that kids go through is a form of communication. It's needs. And let's say you are dealing with a difficult situation with your parents, and you've tried talking to them, and all they do is scream at you, or they have problems with you. And eventually, you might start acting out, because to get their attention, or let them know something's wrong, or anything like that, might require you to actually, push back. Psychic, I totally agree. I feel like a Discord would be good. I've talked about it. The problem is just finding people who are willing to moderate. We can have a whole section for hot sauce. Okay, that's fair. A channel for hot sauce would be great. Oh wait, is that a? Oh wait, I gotta go this way. It's a bun. You guys can't see her because of the distortion. I'll have to grab the bun at some point. Anywho, so the reason I bring this up is it may not affect everybody, but I want to just bring up this notion of disrespect because where I get concerned is that when it's thrown out, this can be a way to shut down what a kid is expressing. If a teenager is being disrespectful, why are they being disrespectful? How are they being disrespectful? Is it that they're calling you out on your bullshit? Is it that they are pointing out that you're factually incorrect? Because I would argue those are the behaviors you'd want to see in a kid. If someone's being a fallacious form of authority, wouldn't you want them to do that? So, to me, that kind of falls in this whole notion of how do we want our kids to be as adults? I want my kids to disrespect authority that's proven to be insufficient. And I think that's okay. And maybe not everyone agrees with that, but I think this idea of using disrespect to sometimes cover for an express need leads to some really, really difficult situations. And so I want you to just think about that as, what is disrespect? I know it may seem like I'm hyper-focusing on this word, but what does that mean to you? Because to me, there seems to be two definitions. There's disrespect in the sense of a certain commonality of respect. You guys just throwing stuff back there?
One got up to eat the bowl that fell.
Got it. Okay. That is Zena, by the way. They're back there on their computer, and Bun is being cute. You can see her little waggy tail. One second, actually, real quick. In the middle of segment. Bun, come here. Bun. Come here, Bun. Come here, girl. Hey, Bun. Come here, girl.
Can I go to the bathroom, love?
Look at the dog. Look at the dog. Oh. Look at this doggo. This is a Bun. Oh, she's such a good Bun. Mwah. Oh, wait, go to the bathroom. It's cool. By the way, Psychic, we should totally have a section in the Discord that's just posting cute animals. It's important to me. So yeah, so this idea of disrespect is something I wanted to bring up because I feel like there's this way in which... Hi, Just Danny, hi. Aw, everyone saw the Bun. Yes, that's Bunny. She's a good dog. She's such a cutie. So yeah, it's me, your biggest fan. Sorry, I read that and all I could think of was like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like, it's me, Dio. But yes, we need a pupper section. It's important to me. But yeah, so coming back to this idea, this segment that's gone off the rails. Again, I do think there is a way in which that when we are talking about disrespect, there seems to be two different definitions. I mean, Psychic, if you want to moderate, as long as you're cool, like keeping the peace and stuff, I will definitely keep that in mind. Feel free to email me at transgirltherapist@gmail.com. I'm serious. If people want to moderate for me, I'm cool. Just don't be assholes. Like, that. It's a really simple fucking thing. But yeah, so... Oh, Just Danny, you're so cute. I like your little hearts. They're so adorable. So, like, the reason I'm kind of saying all this is that I want it to be super clear that, like, one of the ways I see parents behave towards their kids is this idea of control. I myself tend to oscillate between many different identities as far as politics, but I do really like this idea of sort of the basic ideas of anarchism. That is not necessarily that I want anarchy in the broad sense, but I do want to question all hierarchies. I do want to question hierarchies, especially when they appear to be toxic. And so one of the things that I find is that sometimes disrespect is a way in which we're attacking the person, and sometimes disrespect is by not respecting the hierarchy. And if the hierarchy is a piece of shit, or the hierarchy is one that reifies trauma or abuse or shitty things, then by definition, I don't think a kid should be respectful of that. And sometimes kids that are acting out with certain behaviors are the canaries in the coal mine. They're the ones actually going, something's fucked up about this and I'm going to act out.